So in today's video, or you can say from today onwards, we are going to start a series on Laravel. Okay, so Laravel is a very popular PHP based framework. Okay, it is used for designing different types of CMS and stuff. It can do really amazing stuff. Okay, so let's get started. So to install Laravel, what you need is you need to have PHP installed. So here I've opened up the documentation. Apart from Laravel, you need you can say apart from PHP, you need Composer. Okay, so Composer is a package management tool which is available with PHP. So you need to install Composer first, Composer and PHP. So today we are going to use Laravel 8.5, though I've opened up the documentation for Laravel 9x, but I'll just start with the Laravel 8.5 version. Okay, so to install Laravel, what we'll do is we'll need this simple command. Okay, Composer create project Laravel/Laravel. So this is a package. Okay, and here let's click it here, and after that give a space and write the project name. So the project name is first Lara. Okay, first Lara project. And to restrict the version, by default it will install the latest version, but we want to use the 8.5 version. So what I will do is I will give a space and write 8.5 there and press enter. So this will pull all the, you can say, dependencies and stuff whatever is required for that thing. So it will create essentially a folder. Okay, so that will be called first Lara or whatever name we have given. Okay, so here's this thing. See here, it has created a folder here. So you can see let's ls and change the directory to first Lara. Okay, and let's open it up into VS Code. Okay, so it is opening it into VS Code. Okay, yeah, it took some time. Yeah, somewhat slow, I guess. So here, whenever you are learning Laravel, it is important that you understand the folder structure of Laravel first and how it works. So basically, Laravel is a MVC framework. There is a model view controller framework. So essentially, there are three different parts to Laravel. One is the model, that is your data part, okay, or the database part. Other one is the view, that is the front end view, and controller is the business logic. Okay, so three different aspects of it. So first and most important thing in Laravel, whenever you install a Laravel project, after you install a Laravel project, is to open up the env file or make sure it has a env file. Okay, so whenever you are pulling code from Git or stuff like that, you might experience some errors which are usually due to missing env file, because env files are not uploaded on GitHub usually. So env.example will be available, .env won't be available. So what you need to do is find up this env example and copy it into a .env file and do the relevant changes here. Okay, so here what we need to do is first change this thing and db host thing. Okay, so this will keep it like this. Okay, and after that, whichever database you want to connect to this thing, like by default you can connect one database, but if you want multiple databases, that is also possible. But for now we are learning things, so we'll connect it to a single database. Okay, so here your db database name. So whenever you want to create, or you can say connect to a database in Laravel, what you need to do is use this thing, db database, and here you need to put the name of your database. And now we are using a MySQL database. If you're using any different database, like if you're using Postgres or if you're using Oracle or DB2 or stuff like that, then you need to change this thing here. Okay, instead of MySQL you could write here PGSQL and stuff. Okay, and the port number will change, and here your database name will also change, and this is the username and password for the thing. So I currently do not have any username or password for this machine on the database front, and what I could do is I could just create a database here, and here I will start with the first LaraDB. Okay, let's name it at first LaraDB. Okay, first LaraDB. Okay, so it has created a database here, and I write here first LaraDB, first Lara DB. Okay, so now your Laravel application is connected to the database. Okay, so this is just an environmental connection that has been made. Okay, all the settings are pre-built in this thing. So now about the folder structure. So here, as I said earlier, there are three important aspects. One is the model, one is the controller, and one is the view. So view, that is the front end part of the application, is written inside this resources folder inside views. Okay, so inside this views you are going to write all your view code. Okay, so I'll just fire up this application so I can show you how actually this thing works. So you need to write a command php artisan serve. Okay, so this will start your server at a port number 8000. Okay, so essentially to run Laravel, what all things you require is you need to have composer, then you need to have Laravel package installed in this thing, and apart from that you will need a PHP CLI. So you need to search up those instructions as well, or I can link up to those things in the description, I guess. So there you need to install these three things. You need to install PHP CLI along with the unzip extension, or you can say the unzip utility on this thing. If you're using Linux, you need to install that thing, or if you're on Windows, you can just put the exe path of php.exe into your environment variables. Okay, so that is essentially the thing which will help you run this application. And what I will do is I will follow this link. Okay, so this will open up this. Yeah, okay, so this is the default link for this thing. This will show you the welcome page and stuff. Okay, so what we'll do is how it actually works, that we'll see. Okay, in this first video we'll not modify majority of the things. Let's just see how this thing works. So pages here inside Laravel are linked through routes. Okay, so directly you cannot run this page. So because usually what happens in web is you name your file index.php, or you can name it a default.php or default.asp, so whatever you want, and it will automatically consider it as the first page or the initial page. So what happens here is inside the web.php and the api.php routes are specified. Okay, so these are the two places. Okay, so here we have written front slash, that is the root, and we have connected it to a view welcome. So it uses the Blade framework. See here, welcome.blade.php. So what essentially Blade does is it's a UI rendering framework or UI rendering engine, you can say, which allows to render web in parts. That is what essentially it does. Okay, so I'm giving a very crude definition of that thing, but yeah, essentially that is what it does. As we move on further, I'll get into the intricate details of that thing. So here what I could do is, if I want to change to some other page, okay, and I will create a new file here, and I can write test.blade.php. okay, and here I could write some things like html close head title test page. Okay, sorry, title, sorry, and yeah, for now let's focus on the essentials. And body tag, and here I will write test data, and let's put it into H1. I'm keeping it very simple so that we don't get confused or anything. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, I have created a test.blade.php. So now let me explain this thing. So here if I write test.blade.php, see, it will show you a 404. So like, how do you actually connect this thing? So the answer is you need to just copy this thing, and here whenever you are rendering any page, it will have a get route : get. So you need to remember that whenever you are rendering pages, you will have a get request there. Okay, so test and test. Okay, so here I have added another route, that is /test, which will connect to a view. So these are the views. See here, inside the views folder we have different types of views. So it will connect to the test view. Okay, test.blade.php. If you forget, or if you misplace this thing, if you write test.php instead of test.blade.php, then what will happen is your CSS won't be rendered, because the Blade framework will not detect, or Blade rendering engine will not identify that file as a Blade file, because essentially you are not naming it as a blade.php. So just remember, whenever you are creating files inside this views folder, make sure that the extension is whatever your file name is, followed by .blade.php instead of for .php only. Okay, so that is very important part. And this here directly you need to name the files as test. Okay, here when in the front end you do not need to use the extensions or anything. Okay, you can use it directly. See here, enter this thing and this connected to that page. Okay, so through web.php you can connect this page. Okay, so here it is important that it should be a get request only. If you do it as a post request, this thing will not be rendered. Let me show you. This will show you an error. See here, get method is not supported for this route. So here make sure whenever you're calling a web page or anything that is to be rendered on the front end through a browser, any sort of browser, Chrome, Mozilla, or any sort of browser, you need to use the get request. Whenever data is to be shown directly to the user, you need to use a get request. Okay, so this was it about using the request and the front end part. And now moving on to the controller part and the model part. So here inside the app folder you will find a HTTP folder, inside which you will find controllers and middlewares. Okay, so essentially what controllers do is it allows us to write the business logic of the application. Like if you have written anything in the front end, like you have created a form which will submit sort of a user data to the server, or you can say, and the server will save it to the database. So in the front end only the UI will be visible, and into the business logic you will have different sorts of functions there available, which are written inside dedicated controllers. So there are different sorts of commands to create a controller. Okay, so we can create a controller or a middleware. So what middleware does is, whenever your requests are to be filtered with something, like you need to check whether a certain token is available with the user, like sort of a bearer token or shit likewise. So that you can check here. You can check whether your request is coming from a legit source or anything likewise. So it is kind of a filter for that thing. So it will act as a filter. So middleware has all the filtering part. See here, authenticate.php, encrypt cookies, prevent requests during maintenance.php and stuff. Okay, so this will provide us all the token verification mechanisms, or you can say the security mechanisms for Laravel. Okay, so PHP essentially in itself is not a very secure language. Okay, up until now it was not a really secure language. Post, you can say PHP 8.0, things are changing for the good. Okay, so things might change further as well, but as of now it's not really as secure as any other language, like you can say for Java example. Okay, so Java is a very secure language. So PHP doesn't work that well on that front. So here we have Laravel that provides us all the security features, or you can say the basic security features that are available via the middleware. Okay, so there are some cases when you need to create your own custom middleware as well, that we'll see in some other videos as well. Okay, so for now your focus should be on controller, models and the view. Okay, so let's get started with those things. So here, as I said, this is the base controller, or you can say it is called as controller. See here, it extends the base controller. What it does is authorizes requests, dispatches jobs, and validates request. Okay, and below that, below the controllers, you will have a models folder. Okay, here, see here, below HTTP you will have a model folder. So models is essentially, you can say, a blueprint to your database. Okay, and the thing is, you are not bound to use these models as well. Okay, so what we'll do in our videos is, like, we'll start with raw queries. Okay, so what is raw queries and stuff I'll explain to you, but raw queries is essentially how we write queries in our day-to-day life. Okay, along with that, the Laravel framework does provide us with ORM and stuff, but we'll see it some other day. Okay, for now we'll be focusing predominantly on the raw queries. Okay, let's first get started and get acquainted with the raw queries, and then slowly we can move towards the ORM part. Okay, so because raw queries do help sometimes, and this is a course that I guess is targeted towards creating, you can say, practical programmers or people who actually want to use programming as a tool in their day-to-day life. Okay, and not just learning programming for the sake of clearing your scores or something, or likewise. Okay, so this is it, and in the next video what I will do is I will connect the controller with the database using a raw query. Okay, and show the output in JSON, and that too within like 3 lines. Okay, so you can see that in the next video. Okay, for now I'll just end this video. Thank you.